Daniel-san.
Jacob!
How are you doing?
Pretty good. I woke up like an hour ago.
Nice. Well, this is a little pre-banter, so if you're watching this on social media, this is the start of the podcast. Whoa, a little behind the scenes. If you're listening this on the podcast...
Whoa, we might be on Snapchat or
yeah,
Twitter,
no.
Instagram. Somewhere.
But if you're listening to it on Instagram, then that means the new episode's out. Whoa! All right. Goodbye, social media, but like this is just nothing for the podcast.
All right.
All right. That's over. Cool. So you might have seen, if you're watching that social media video, I have a nice Whatever We Want shirt on. Those aren't available yet because this was kind of just a test batch, but they will be soon. So more giveaways coming soon. Bam. Yeah. Daniel has one. What do you think, Daniel?
Pretty nice. Pretty cool. Pretty cool looking. I would definitely invest. Oh, wait. I already did.
That's a knee slapper. My knee sounded like my desk because I slapped my desk instead of my knee.
That's a good one, Jake. That's a good one.
All right, but now we're out of pre-banter. We're into pre-banter. So, Daniel, my mom was talking to me the other day about something called Backwards Broadway. What do you think that is?
It's Broadway, but all the plays are done backwards.
That's exactly what I thought.
It's like you... Like, what was that one SpongeBob episode where they do the Orb of Confusion or something like that, but then they do it like backwards instead?
Maybe.
That's exactly what it is.
I imagined it was like, for example, Lion King. It was like the fall of Simba, and then Scar slowly rebuilds Pride Rock to its former glory, and then Mufasa raises from the dead to take the credit for everything that Scar did. That's what I thought.
No, I thought it meant like people like just said every line literally backwards, so it sounded like because they're like just speaking backwards, and then they're actually moving backwards as well. So like on the stage, like when Mufasa dies, he actually like jumps out of the buffalo.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's actually just like Broadway songs, but they reverse the male and female roles. I think that's a lot less exciting than our idea. I think we should make this a thing.
We should make ours a thing.
But we can't call it Backwards Broadway because that's a thing already. What would we call ours?
Reverse Broadway.
Ah, yeah. Okay, that's settled. Are you ready for the intro, Daniel?
Yeah, hit me with it.
You may want us to talk about this or that, but we don't care. We're gonna talk about whatever we want. Blah. I'm considering changing that intro because it feels kind of like rude and exclusive. Like, we don't care. I do care. I always say like, hey, what do you want us to talk about? Like, let me know. Like, I'm contradicting myself, you know?
Well, I feel like we gotta keep like the jingle, but like you can change it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you guys keep the same beats, but like you can change it up like that. Yeah.
We'll figure out something that fits better maybe with the intro music that Scott generously gave us. Link in description for check out Scott.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a couple things up top, as always, Daniel. Do you have anything up top you want to talk about before I get into stuff up top?
Only the hairs on my head, Jake. Not really anything else.
All right, well, that giveaway's still going on. Thank you to everyone that has given us reviews. Really appreciate that, and there are some great reviews that I might read some later. You have till June 30th to do that for the amazing mug that is featured in the social media video that I talked about earlier.
Again, would invest.
Also, the mugs are machine washable. Wow, I tested it on a mug to make sure that they actually were, and they are.
You instantly got like the set of mugs and you're like, okay, this one this was the sacrificial lamb.
This is the sacrificial mug. Yeah. Also, we're on a couple more platforms since the last episode. We're on iHeartRadio now in case people want to listen on there. We also have a YouTube page, and the last episode, Iron Man 2, dropped on there. It's not like video of us, but it's just like an image. But I know some people like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, so it's there. And it's also a platform, so if down the road we do want to like have our faces, our beautiful, devilishly handsome faces, as per the trailer, then we can have it on there. So, yeah.
It's like we could do like a face reveal, even though like you can already see our faces on like other channels and stuff.
Literally the video, the social media that like we post on all the time.
Yeah.
You may be thinking like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm totally not expecting like everyone to like subscribe on everything. Like, oh, I listen on iHeartRadio and YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Podbean, whatever the heck else I said last time.
Podbean.
This is just so that
that's a thing.
Yeah. We're on it, Daniel. This is just so that like people, if like you have a preference, you are able to listen on that platform. So that is that. Yeah.
What was the board meeting for that like? What should we call our company? I know. Podbean.
Well, we can't call it, we can just podcast. We need pod something. And so I'm just imagining someone in the corner eating like out of a can of beans. That's brilliant. But back to Tank.
It's like, it sounds like one of the like knockoff names that you'd find like a video game or something. Anywho, yeah, back to Tank. Let's just get into it.
Well, one more thing. So we're actually getting close to wrapping up phase 1. Like I think literally since we started this episode, like we are officially have crossed the halfway point because we've done 3 and there's 3 to go. Mm-hmm. So we're actually going to be putting a poll up on Patreon for patrons to vote on what we cover in like a little break between phase 1 and 2. So if you're interested, check that out, like in description and everything. Yeah, that's all the up top formal button up news I have.
Okay. That's a weird way to put it, but sure.
Also, did you hear this potential spoilers for Mandalorian Season 2? Fast forward past the time code if you don't want to hear this. Are you okay hearing this, Daniel?
Hit me with it.
So, there were rumors about, like, Ahsoka being in it?
Yeah.
Apparently, those are, like, rumors are, like, getting traction and, like, a pretty reliable source, not, like, officially announced it, but, like, is covering it. So, people think that Ahsoka's definitely going to be in Mando Season 2, definitely played by that actress that everyone was originally thinking. And also, she's going to be, like, having her blue lightsabers, apparently, instead of her white ones from the end of Rebels, which is where we last saw her chronologically. So that's interesting.
Did she lose her lightsabers there, or did she...
At Rebels?
No. At the end of Clone Wars.
No, I think she put them down. So, yeah, also spoilers for Clone Wars. And Darth Vader picked them up, remember?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, how is she going to have her blue lightsabers then?
I don't know. Maybe she makes new ones, or maybe Darth Vader just, like, kindly gives them back to her. They just, like...
Ahsoka, I found you a lightsaber.
As Darth Vader is known for being kind.
I'm sure they're going to figure out something for that. Because the way she gets her white ones, I feel like that should be, like, its own thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was that done in Rebels? Did they show that?
The white ones?
How she made the white ones?
I will again say I have not watched Rebels, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's wholesome, the way she does that.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
All right, Daniel, what are we talking about this podcast episode?
Thor!
Talking
about Thor.
God of Thunder.
I mean, sprinkle fingers? Or
what is it?
Sparkles. Captain Sparkles.
Thor Ragnarok. That's jumping way ahead there, Daniel. Way ahead.
Dude, that's my favorite variant. What are you talking about? Freaking Captain Sparkles? He's not even Thor anymore? Come on.
All right, so Thor. I'm a little biased. This is a very memorable Marvel movie in my mind. I'm sorry to any of my family members listening to this, but I'm going to be brutally honest. This is my first makeout movie, so Thor holds a special place in my heart.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, but I'm trying to put that aside and just come in with open mind, just analyze it. I'm a professional.
So, Jake, you wanna start us off with the juice?
All right, so
Thor juice.
Thor juice, directed by Kenneth Branagh. I think he's English. He was asked to do this in the summer of 2008. So this is like a few months after Iron Man came out. They were like, all right, cool, we got to work on the next thing. Like that's pretty fast turnaround in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they're planning on expanding the universe, which they were then, obviously, because they started talking about like Avengers and stuff. They're like, okay, we need to start getting the rhythm of getting these out more. So I feel like there's a lot of experimentation that also went into like how they started to expand on these movies.
Right. Yeah, and Ken, the director, we're on a first name basis, and I'm not even saying that maliciously. Like, I mean, kind of am, but like during the director's commentary, he was like, "My friends call me Ken, so if you're talking to me during this director's commentary, you can call me Ken too." And I was like, "I'm friends with the director of Thor."
Oh, Ken.
Me and Ken had a time. I really liked the score of this movie, actually, too.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great.
Yeah, and the guy that did it, Patrick Doyle, actually worked with Ken, my boy Ken, before. They worked together since their first film.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And Ken, I think, was one of the first, like, kind of Marvel kind of things where, like, Marvel takes a person that's used to doing, like, a low-budget film and gives them, like, a big budget to do, like, a superhero film and have their own kind of flair on it. And that's kind of what they tried with Ken. And that's why we got a trillion Dutch angles, in my opinion. I need to preempt this.
Well, first, you should explain what a Dutch angle is, because a lot of people don't know what that is.
What we talked about in Iron Man. So a Dutch angle is like when you tilt the frame so it's not like straight, like on purpose. And it adds a lot of tension when done sparingly to a scene because like it seems off, it's uneasy. Like you don't usually see that. And it can be like a great tool for filmmakers to use. When it's done sparingly, there are so many Dutch angles in Thor that it is like insane.
Literally, you Googled it. You're like, how many Dutch angles? And before you could even finish it, it was like autofilled are in Thor.
Yeah, autofilled. And I mean, it was 183. They didn't give me a straight up answer, but there was a video and I went through and like counted and it was 183 Dutch angles in Thor. That is a huge percentage, where in like Iron Man, there was that one with Bernie McBaldy, Jeff Bridges. Yeah. It's a little throwback there.
Oh, man. There are even ones that were like we talked about this before, where like it starts off at a normal angle and then it starts panning like into a Dutch angle.
Yeah, it like fakes you out. It's like, oh, thank goodness it's a regular shot. Psych! It like turns into a Dutch angle.
Oh,
and it's just like, it just really took me out of it a lot of the time. Not too much. Like I definitely, like I wasn't counting. If I would have been like counting during my viewing, I would have been taken out of it, but I didn't. I just told myself, just watch the movie. Just like a normal movie, even though it's not. But I think you brought up a good point. You said like because it's like Thor, it's so like mystical, magical. It's like the most abnormal thing that we've seen in the MCU up until this point. So if there's any place for it to fit, like that would probably be the film and topic for it.
Yeah.
And also the director Ken, my boy Ken, he said that the reason he did these Dutch angles, he actually commented on the director's commentary. He about halfway through he was like, "Oh, there's a Dutch angle," and I was like, "Oh, wow, you didn't comment on the other 500." But he was like, "Yeah, people were warning me that I was doing too many," and I was like, But he said that the reason he did it is because that's how he remembered like the comic books. Like the comic books, they were always like tilted so you could fit as much as you can.
Tilted angles.
Yeah. Into the frame. And I was like, that's kind of an interesting perspective, I guess. And that actually like kind of made me appreciate it a little more. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense because you're like trying to translate the media from comic to film. I mean, there's some things that like, again, like there are superhero movies that have been done before, obviously.
Really?
At this time, it was like mostly DC.
I thought this was the only one.
No, you know what I mean? Like before, like it was mainly like DC before like the MCU really started to take off.
The trillion Batmans we had.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you didn't get cinematography like that. So, again, I think this was a good spot for that experimentation for that.
Yeah.
Did it really work? I mean, we're talking about it, obviously, so...
Yeah, but, I mean, it was something that you try. Like, you never know unless you try it, right?
Exactly.
And, like, we were talking about before, like, it's honestly, it's not the worst Thor movie, and I actually really enjoyed it for what it is.
Yeah. All right, so, Thor.
How do we start?
We start off with this sick animation of, like, panning through all the names and stuff like that. Congrats to, like, the effects team for, like, all the particle effects and stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, the clouds and, like, making Asgard and all that.
Wait, did you miss them on Earth first?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about the intro, like, cinematic with, like, the popping up of Asgard with all that. No, yeah, they're on Earth first. So
they're in Puente Antiguo, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
In New Mexico.
Pretty much out in the desert, yeah. There's a scientist named Jane Foster. She brought over this other scientist.
I completely forgot Natalie Portman was in this film until, like, watching it. I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot about her.
You're like, Padme, what are you doing here? But then she brings over another doctor named Eric Selvig. He's super big in astrophysics and stuff like that. And he's really important to the MCU later on, as we'll see in Avengers.
And also Natalie Portman's probably going to be important to the MCU later on, too. Like, so she stepped away after Thor 2, which people did not like, but she's on board for Thor 4, or Thor, as I call it.
4, Love and Thunder.
4. Yeah. Also, apparently Christian Bale's, like, signed on for that, I heard.
Really?
Yeah.
What character do you think he'd be playing?
I don't know. He might be, like, the villain. I don't know. Dude, he could be anything. It's Christian Bale.
That's true.
He could be, like, an obese, like, background character or something.
Wait, which is coming out first? Multiverse of Madness or 4?
I don't know.
Because if it's Multiverse of Madness, imagine if it's like...
Wait, Mom or Thor?
But no, like imagine it's like all the different versions of Christian Bale, including just like neutral himself, and then there's also like Batman, then you also got like the racer and the recent movie that just came out.
The thing that scares me though for Multiverse of Madness is like I feel like he would lose all the weight and gain a bunch of weight, like all within the shooting time frame, so they could get it all. He would like lose a bunch of weight, they'd get the shot for like one dimension, then like he'd gain like 100 pounds, and then like he's that guy.
No, I feel like he would like whatever your smallest guy is, you do that. And then
build up.
You have fat suits. No. Like you either have build up or you have like cosmetic.
No,
fat suits.
Christian Bale doesn't do fat suits.
I thought he did for that one movie about like the.
No, he gains the weight. I'm pretty sure.
No, for most movies, yeah. But I thought there was one where he.
I don't know.
Was it Christian Bale?
All right, Daniel. We've tangented.
Anyway, yeah, we've gone way far.
Back to the tank.
So Jane is trying to look up these phenomenon that she's seeing in the sky.
Yeah, there's also Darcy Lewis, Kat Denning. She does a good job in my opinion.
Oh yeah, she's what is it? A social science intern?
Yeah, the only applicant. Dude, if my freaking internship in LA had me working with Natalie Portman, I would have applied like that.
Like it's some like really obscure weird mission out in the desert.
In this movie of like mystical magic and Asgardians and gods, the most unrealistic thing is that no one wanted to intern with Natalie Portman.
She was the only applicant, bro. What? Anywho, Jake, we gotta get on with it. We gotta progress.
Yeah, so they see a storm.
Yeah.
In the desert, and they drive towards it because that's a logical thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it looked like a tornado at first. I'm like, why would you drive to that? That's weird.
I really like how Darcy's like, I'm not dying for 6 college credits.
That's like the most realistic thing that happened in the movie.
That's so relatable to me right now.
But anywho, they drive into the storm like Jake said, and then they hit somebody. And they're like, oh my god, okay, do me a favor, please don't die.
Oh my gosh, why does this guy have bleached eyebrows?
who is this man? And then
now it's the title credits, the fancy schmancy visual effects. I think, is this where Odin starts narrating?
yeah, it is.
Odination.
Which, by the way, we should probably talk about like Odin and his background in the comics because he's pretty
Go for it.
important. Okay, so all of Asgard and like really the Nine Realms is based off of Norse mythology, which
Right, and they took a lot of reference for that for like this film. They were trying to balance like reference between Norse mythology and the like Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Thor comics.
Yeah.
And I think they did a good job.
they did a very good job with that. Because going back to the comics, like of course Stan Lee and Jack did like a lot of concentration on also focusing on like old myths and stuff like that.
Right.
So in this case, they kind of made the lore work within how they imagined the universe being.
The Thor.
So in simple terms, Odin is
He's the All-Father.
yeah, he's the All-Father. He had his father and his forefather before him, and they helped conquering what's called the Nine Realms, which is pretty
The
much
Tree of Life.
yeah, the Tree of Life, which is where all the different like if you think of it like this, so we have our universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our universe is split up into like these. I don't want to call them dimensions, but you can think of them like dimensions. They're like different. It's actually like on a different plane of existence. That's why Asgard is like it's not like a round planet. It's like actually like a plane.
Oh, I thought you were talking about real science, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, technically, this could be in real science if you want to get
Right.
into, like dimension theory and stuff like
We
that.
don't want to, Dan. Remember we said
Yeah.
we're not physics podcasts.
But no. That in this case, what this movie largely brings about is an understanding of like
magic is just
is
science we don't understand yet.
exactly. Yeah.
I like that quote a lot. And I also love that Natalie Portman delivers it.
Oh yeah, Padme hit me with it.
Where's Annie now?
Okay, so going back to Asgard, right?
Mm-hmm.
The leader of it or the king of it right now is Odin, and he has his son, which is Thor. He's his firstborn.
Retconned later, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, we'll skip that. For now.
Basically, at the beginning, the Frost Giants and the Asgardians are having a war on Earth, and Odin and the Asgardians save the day. And the Frost Giants are banished back to their planet, and they take the like casket of ancient winters.
Well, they're not banished back. They're fought back.
Yeah.
And then they gain their power, from this casket of I guess
Ancient winters.
snow is what we'll call it. I mean, it's called ancient winters, but it's just like it's an ice cube.
They get their power from one singular ice cube.
Oh yes, just ice cube, much power.
Also, Anthony Hopkins plays Odin, which like I think it's like crazy good casting.
Oh, definitely.
Like the director said, like if you have anyone like representing like the father of the universe, like he's a great. I think this whole cast is like fantastic. Like it's crazy the people they have. And I will talk about Tom Hiddleston as Loki later, but like, oh my gosh, he is so good.
Yeah.
My mom I'm going to talk a little about it now, but my mom was talking about Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and like she was like, he's such a bad guy, but you want him to be good, and like I don't like the other Marvel villains, but like I want him to be good. I was like, and that's why he's getting his own TV show, and the other Marvel villains are not.
Well, he's also a really dynamic character, which we can get to in a bit.
Definitely.
In short, Asgard defeats the ice giants on what's their homeworld?
Jotunheim.
Which again, CGI quality. Odin takes the ice cube,
Yes.
and puts it into the secret vault.
Secret tunnel. Actually, speaking of like the vault, that set was like 100% real. There was no,
Including the destroyer.
besides like the destroyer. Besides, well, they actually had like a destroyer like life-size model that they used for like reference, like with all the reflections and everything. It just obviously just didn't move.
Where's it at? I want it. Like in my house.
Collector's piece.
Yeah.
But basically, it's Odin doing some narration. Which, if you're gonna have anyone do narration, Anthony Hopkins can do it and get away with it.
Yeah.
He's on the same tier as
Like Morgan Freeman.
Yes, Morgan Freeman.
Like I can't think of his name. Darth Vader voice.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. I was like, J. Jonah Jameson. I'm like, that's not right at all.
Thor's a menace. I also want to talk about how like this was such a huge risk for Marvel, like with the studio again being so new. Like I'm pretty sure this was also still under Paramount distributing before Disney officially bought
Yes, it was.
them. It's still like we said, Marvel was going through like his list of B characters. They didn't have Spider-Man, they didn't have the Hulk. Obviously they worked out the deal with the Hulk with Universal, but like Thor, that's so out there, especially for like a general viewing audience. And I think they wanted to establish the Marvel Universe is a universe, the MCU. Kevin Feige made it a point in an interview to say like it's the Marvel Universe, not like Planet Marvel or something.
Yeah.
But like this seriously, like this did so much for the MCU. Like it paved the way for Guardians, which like was also a huge success, and then eventually led to like Captain Marvel and Infinity War and Endgame, which like we wouldn't have had that without Thor. And this isn't regarded as like the best MCU film, but it did a lot for the MCU in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, speaking of like once we're finally getting into like Asgard and everything, like that whole exposition, I just think the costume design is fantastic in these films.
Oh, dude! Oh my God! Yes.
Like it
was amazing.
I was watching the behind the scenes, and they like literally like took the time. Obviously, they're doing reference from like Norse mythology and then Jack Kirby and Stan Lee comics, but like they had to like develop an entire culture. When these filmmakers are making like Asgard, they're thinking like, okay, how can we make this visually interesting and show like Thor, for example, stands out from the commoners. So the commoners were kind of given like a muted monochrome, kind of like that tan gray color palette, but also had their own flair within them to show like their professions and stuff. And then Thor, his like whole armor, the costume designer was an Oscar winner, not for this, but like from previous things. And she like, and the director Ken, my boy Ken, worked like closely with the comics, and they took crucial like iconic pieces of the comics and implemented it into the costume. Like for example, those like 6 discs, that's like what makes Thor like Thor in the comics, and they kind of took those and like modernized them and made them like, I guess, cool looking and put them on him.
Yeah, make it like work and ease in with the suit.
Yeah.
Like how they had like the other tangents of how like the chest piece and stuff like that, which is like really, I mean personally, that's the kind of stuff I like to do when it comes like just world building and world design, because you have to always think about like all the small details and how they build up to define something. Yeah. Which is awesome.
That's definitely, like, couldn't have said it better. One example, they try to think of things that, like, you don't really see in the real world. So they, like, or that often at least. So they experimented with, like, weaving cloth into metal. And I think it, like, made a really cool design that is, like, pretty iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was my little costuming thing for now. We'll get there.
Okay, so pretty
much like, and it's easy. Sorry, before we go back, it's easy to like be really cheesy with this because like it's literally just like people like in capes like dressed up crazy. But like,
I mean, we could also talk about like there was a Thor movie before, wasn't there? Or was it a show?
I think it was part of the
back in, like the 80s.
Like Thor came onto the
Hulk
TV show, and it looks ridiculous. He's like a giant goofy Viking helmet on.
Yeah, it's like you could definitely go like full cheese like that. I mean, that's kind of what the TV culture was back then.
It's just Thor comes out in a block of cheese, like that's his outfit.
He just emerges.
Thor went full cheese.
Instead of coming through the Bifrost, it's just like he comes down as like a chunk of cheese, and he just cuts through it.
Yeah. But back to the tank. Okay, so during that battle, that intro battle, you quickly see that Odin loses his eye to Laufey, the Frost Giant King, like throws that spiky ice ball. That's like how he loses his eye.
Spike ball.
Even though in the Norse mythology, I looked this up, Odin loses his eye because he drinks from like this well of all knowledge, so like he can become like all powerful, I guess, and like have all wisdom, and he like sacrifices his eye or something. I don't really know how it works, and I'm in no way a Norse like mythology expert, but
yeah. Well, that's another thing that I really like about these movies, right? Because if you think of it like this, kind of going back to like the universe stuff,
right?
This is its own universe, so it doesn't have to follow everything to like the exact T. It can like redefine, and change things, which it's been doing. Because there's the comic lovers that have been watching these movies, right? You have to also keep them on their toes, because if they know all the stories, for example, like Civil War, right?
Right. If it's like a exact recreation, that's not exciting.
Exactly.
And that's the appeal to comics in general, is like there's so many like alternate things, like different storylines, like the Ultimate storyline. They took some of that art as reference because it's kind of more modern for Thor, but they didn't like copy the stories, and they took reference from like different stories. Like we talked about with Iron Man 2 last time, with him like almost falling to alcoholism kind of thing. That one story. They like pick and choose from each one and then ultimately create their own thing, which is very awesome.
Yeah.
We get to Asgard finally.
We're like at minute 3 in Asgard. In the movie. Okay, so
we got baby Thor, baby Loki. When I say baby, I mean like they're probably like 100 years old, just like young, but they're like kids.
Yeah.
Was this the first de-aging? Because like Anthony Hopkins looked young.
Maybe. I didn't even think about that, but now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
I looked it up and I couldn't find anything. So this might have been the first Marvel de-aging. It might have been a test for like Captain America, like his, I guess that's kind of different stuff, like shrinking down. But this might be the first Marvel de-aging. Well, I'm not really sure.
They're tangents, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I like the quote that Odin says here: "A wise king never seeks out war, but he's always prepared for it." This is like kind of like literally the whole thing that Thor needs to learn, basically boiled down to like one sentence kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the inauguration of Thor becoming king.
The Ascension Day.
Yeah.
There's actually a deleted scene before this. I kind of wish it wasn't deleted. It shows Loki and Thor kind of like Loki legitimately seems very happy for Thor like on this day. Like I feel like Loki is obviously like god of mischief and everything, but I think like when I've been studying and analyzing this, especially with the deleted scenes, I don't think Loki ever like was power hungry for the throne. I think he wanted just his father's love, and then like that completely, he like was destroyed when he found out that actually wasn't his father, and that kind of drove him into madness. Like I don't think he always was like very like evil, you know, and I think that's also what makes him a good villain.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was definitely like a character change, a huge character change once he figures out what he is later on. But we got to get to that.
Yeah. And that scene is intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's at a session day. He has his nice helmet on with Mjolnir. There were 60 variations of Mjolnir, by the way.
Holy guacamole frijoles. How? What?
Like, before they settle on the final design, during pre-production, they like... I mean, like, how many ways can you make that hammer?
Well, no, I feel like there's a lot, because there's typically several components. You have, like, the actual... You have, different engravings. You have the different head. You have the different hilt.
Yeah.
And pommel and all that. You can have like a handle on the bottom, you could not, stuff like that.
The knot?
No, I'm saying you can have a knot at the bottom. Or I see, you made a joke.
I thought you literally said a knot.
Oh. No, I'm not German.
All right. Well, speaking of Mjolnir, they actually had like 3 variations of the final design. They had one that was like the hero hammer, where it was like for close-ups and dialogue scenes, and it was the heaviest. Then they had one like with a foam head that was super light for like really wide shots. You could really twirl around easily. And then one that was kind of medium that was still for fighting, but looked decent.
Yeah.
The handle was the same. They literally just unscrewed the top and just replaced the head. So it was like changing like a tire. And it was like, I'm seeing a different Mjolnir today.
Oh my goodness, dude. It is not like changing a tire. Have you ever changed a tire?
I mean, not as simple as that.
Anywho, Thor is ready to become king, and Odin's literally about, I now pronounce you frost giants. And everybody's like, what? And it's like, oh yeah, there's frost giants.
that's everyone collectively went, what? These guys again? Come on.
But no, it turns out there's like a little group of frost giants that entered the vault, and they tried to steal the ice cube back.
Yeah.
Odin's like, okay, well, they didn't do anything, so we're fine. But Thor is like, but they could have done something, so we should like go do something. Which makes sense, but like I feel like Thor had the right idea, like you should go talk to Laufey and stuff like that, but you shouldn't like ask for war, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, hey dude, we had a treaty, you people broke it. What's going on here, buddy?
But in that vault room, there's like a ton of Easter eggs. I didn't write them all down, but like there's a Orb of Agamotto, Tablet of Life and Time, and the Eternal Flame, obviously, which we see in Ragnarok later used. But there's also like the Infinity Gauntlet, which everyone was like, what the heck is that doing in there? Because like obviously Thanos has the other one in whenever that post-credit scenes comes about.
Yeah.
And then in Thor 3, they retcon it. They're like, oh, it's a fake. Just push it over. But there's a like whole treasure trove. Like if you're like huge into comic books, like that's a fun room full of nice Easter eggs.
Yeah. I mean, I always wondered, like, why would you have a fake Infinity Gauntlet, like before it's even made?
I don't know. But it's... But sorry, right before this, I'm going back to the Ascension ceremony. Like, it's so sad to see Thor here, in my opinion, like at the start, because he's like so happy. Like, over the course of not just this film, but like the entire MCU, he has literally, spoilers, like lost everything. Like that scene with Rocket in Infinity War, like really showcases how much he's lost. Like he loses all of his friends, his family, his world, most of his people, and like his arc. People kind of get upset about like fat Thor, depressed Thor, but like that makes sense for the character. Like he's lost so much.
Yeah, because it's like, what are you gonna do? You've literally just the last of your people, which is like an inch of what you had before, is now stuck on like Middle Earth.
And you gotta also think Thor is like we find out 1,500 years old. So if you like think about, like in the grand scheme of his life, probably all this happened to him in like
one crazy summer.
Yeah, like a summer. That's crazy. Like the entire MCU was like a summer for him. Jeez. But I think Chris Hemsworth plays him very well, just in this film and the entire course of the MCU.
Oh, definitely.
The casting of him actually was very like interesting.
Were they thinking about his brother at first?
Yeah, apparently the final choice came down to Liam and Chris Hemsworth, and like Chris like wanted his brother to get it, but he ultimately got it. And actually, Tom Hiddleston auditioned for the role of Thor before
that's right,
eventually getting Loki.
I forgot about that tape.
He actually like went all out. Like he's naturally blonde, I'm pretty sure, like as a kid, so like he had blonde hair, and he gained 25 pounds of muscle and then like auditioned for the role and like kind of like killed it. But the director eventually thought, was like, I think you'd be better with with Loki, because the director and Tom Hiddleston worked together before, because the director is more like from a Shakespeare like theater background in the UK, which actually like kind of makes sense, because like the whole Shakespeare in the Park thing, the whole thing kind of feels Shakespeare-esque, I guess, with all the costumes and drama and everything. But anyways, so Tom Hiddleston pretty much was told after the audition, like, all right, you need to now lose that 25 pounds of muscle that you were you gained just so you can play Loki now.
Oof.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about the muscle and stuff like that. I remember seeing like his audition tape and all that, like him like doing it.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube if you are interested in watching that. I'm talking to you, the audience. Yeah.
He definitely killed it.
Bam.
He killed it.
Yeah.
I do agree. I think the choice with like Chris and like him as Loki is definitely a lot better.
Yeah.
Anywho, Thor's bad. Rah! Throws over a table.
I actually really like that shot a lot. And there was actually a deleted scene where he pushes away like some servants who are cleaning the table, like violently like pushes them out of the way so we can flip the table, and I'm kind of glad that was cut.
Yeah, that should have been cut.
Yeah, because like you don't want to hate your protagonist.
Yeah, I feel like that'd just be weird.
And then Loki comes in again, just literally like from behind a pillar, like so sneaky. And then he like just baits his brother so hardcore, like nothing you could do without defying your father.
Like, no,
and then he's like, no,
stop it. Don't. It's suicide.
Another Tom Hiddleston like Loki thing. So when he got casted, one of his best friends gave him a key to a low door because he was low key. Low key. Get it?
Oh god. Oh god.
Dude, I like respect that so much.
That's such a terrible dad. Where was the door?
I don't know. Maybe it's like where he stashes like all the stuff he steals from set. Like I bet he has his antler horns like in there.
Reindeer games.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
The horses then ride across the bridge.
Thor and the crew come together and they ride across the bridge.
Oh yeah. Can you talk about the crew a little bit? I forgot about them.
Okay, so it's Civ and the Warriors 3. So it's pretty much Civ. She's a bad A warrior lady.
Yep.
She uses a sword and shield.
Apparently the actress actually was like a really big comic book fan.
Really?
And like knew a lot, put a lot of input in, and knew a lot, sometimes more than like the like creatives, like the writers.
Like, oh, I didn't know Thor did that. And she's like, yeah, come on guys, it's basic Thor knowledge.
Yeah. Actually, they were going to have a purple cape for Thor until she came in.
Is that a joke, or is that really what you're...
That's a joke.
I was going to say.
You saw right through me. That was horrible.
No.
Let's move on.
So then you have... I forget their names, honestly. I mean, they kind of...
There's Lady Civ, Edie McEats-a-Lot, Silent Man... And
the rapier guy.
Flossom hair. What'd you say?
He uses a rapier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does like the French fighting, whatever.
Yeah.
Fencing, whatever you want to call it.
My name's Emilia Contoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
It's not fencing. You know what I mean. Okay, I have an idea. Okay, what if we call them the Nord? That's big boy with the axe. Because he's... I guess they're all Nordic. Never mind. That's a dumb idea.
Wait, let's call this one Nordic. The other ones that are Nordic... Nordic 2.
I was like, wait a second, that's a dumb idea.
You sounded so excited. I was so ready for you to like tell me like, ooh, what has he got?
I was thinking like Skyrim rules.
How about we call them Norse gods?
Oh my goodness.
Now hear me out. But the horses, they take some horses and they ride across the bridge.
Across this rainbow bridge.
And I really like, it's so difficult, like, because in the comics, it was literally just a rainbow bridge. And like the way they took that reference and made it like into like a crystallized, they used like quartz as a base and kind of show like energy flowing through. I think they did a really good job with that. The rainbow bridge, and then ultimately leads their way to the Bifrost, which is where Heimdall is. Idris Elba.
Do we explain the Bifrost?
It's like
it creates a wormhole
portal.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're listening to this podcast, you know what the Bifrost is. You know what Thor is.
Yeah, good point. Anyway, so they go see Heimdall, which is like our boy
Idris Elba.
Yeah. I really like the way he like portrayed his character in this.
Yeah. It's weird. I saw him in this first, and then I saw him in The Office, and it's just really weird seeing him in those two completely different contexts.
Michael Scott?
Dude, that's the most ambitious crossover of all time.
Anywho, so Heimdall, he's able to hear and see everybody and everything, but he wasn't able to see the frost giants when they tried to take the ice cube, and he's like...
So he wants to know why.
I want to know why, so go... I'm going to support your guys' adventure to...
But he can't bring him back...
Jotunheim.
If it's, like, dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Which, and I really like when it powers up. So apparently when it powers up all that electricity, like inside. So the Bifrost like set, like the inside is really cool. It represents kind of like constellations and like star maps kind of within, and like an atlas almost. And then when the electricity like powers it up, it like represents like the tree of life. That's what they were kind of going for, like to represent, like connecting everything. And I really like that.
You can see that because the electricity like it branched out.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like it wasn't like a plasma ball or anything like that. Like you could see it actually form form like branch like structures throughout.
Right.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like I didn't think about that, but it definitely does make sense.
Yeah. And I really like when they travel through the Bifrost, like those shots of kind of like the intensity of like flying super fast. Very cool.
Of going through an Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Yes. And then they land on Jotunheim, confront the Frost Giant King, Laufey, and then a Frost Giant taunts Thor as they're about to leave.
Well, important thing that Laufey says is that you have traitors in the midst of Asgard.
Right.
But yeah, then this guy calls Thor princess, and Thor's like, ha ha ha, princess, I will smash you.
I saw on IMDb facts that like someone was like, that's a reference to a Thor comic where he had to dress up as a princess, and I was like,
what?
One, that's a real thing. Two, I don't think that's a like connection. But you never know.
Yeah.
Apparently he had to dress up as a princess to like disguise himself to like get Mjolnir back or something. I don't know.
Old comics were weird.
Yeah.
Anywho, they started beating up a bunch of frost giants.
Right. And I really like this whole like battle is very cool. Like they shot it in a way like not a lot of wide shots, which is kind of what you see for battles when you move in close. They started close and just stayed in close because they really wanted you to feel like you were in the middle of the battle and like the intensity and this kind of skirmish and that there were actually stakes and like kind of give each hero their moment to show like what they can do, and I think they did a good job. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's also funny seeing the frost giants like behind the scenes because they're just like normal size, just like standing on like crates or something.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that because I'm assuming they just had like probably like green screen pants on or something like that.
I don't even know.
Or they probably just painted them out.
Yeah.
And then just had like CGI for the rest maybe.
Yeah. This battle is very cool in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. Definitely with the way it's shot and the different angles you get. Were there many Dutch angles in this? I don't think there were. I think it was pretty much just straight up like...
I don't know. I don't know what to think about
cutting
it.
between...
I don't want to think about it.
But no, you're cutting back and forth between different characters, but also getting able to see like a lot of Jotunheim, of like how like this area is staged and set up.
Right. And speaking of Jotunheim, that set, speaking of like designing a culture, they had to design another culture of Jotunheim, and it was kind of to represent like what Asgard would be like if its power source was taken, and like this culture that was kind of mixing technology with like ancient tradition of the past, like what would that look like, decayed kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think they did a very good job. I think I say that a lot, but they did a good job.
They did a good job with making a planet look like trash.
Yes. I also really like here Mjolnir's sound design.
Definitely.
Like, because like you got to think, there's no like real world reference
of what a hammer is supposed to sound
for
like.
a magical hammer that can fly and return to you, summon lightning.
When it's at like Mach 5. Yeah.
Like what that does. And like all sound design stuff like that you don't know. Like even like the Iron Man suit, like kind of warming up and blasting, and like Cap's shield has an iconic sound.
That kid screaming when he dropped his ice cream.
Yeah. That is the reference, you're right. I think they did a good job. It's really, really cool. I also like that they established, like you said, Loki with his holograms. That's kind of foreshadowing later.
Yeah, like him with all of his mischief and all of that. Also, another important point in this fight is like
Loki gets cheese touched.
First of all, the fat boy gets cheese touched. He's like, "Don't let them touch you," because then
Right.
he had freezer burn.
Yeah.
And then Loki got touched, but he didn't get freezer burn. He just turned blue, and he was like, "Why am I turning blue?" By the way, frost giants are giant and blue, kind of like the people from the Avatar movie.
Oh shoot.
James Cameron. So Loki's like, "What is going on with me, bro?" He doesn't say that to anybody. He says that internally because he's going to internalize that cheese.
Just like it's like a freeze frame, and it's like, what is my purpose in life? Like everything freezes, and Loki's just like walking around.
But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
When he's talking to his dad, or is he his dad? Thor's like, "If you guys need to go, just go. I got this."
Because Norway god number 3 gets stabbed.
He gets the shiv, and he's like, "Oi!" And then they got to get out of there. So
and then the Rancor's unleashed.
Yeah.
And I also, this is the first part that Thor actually calls lightning, and it's very, very cool.
Very powerful.
This whole like first act is a great way to set up Thor's power, in my opinion, so that when he loses it, you understand like what he's losing,
how much he's lost.
Yeah, because I was actually wondering, I was kind of thinking like this is taking a while to get to like Thor actually like getting banished, and then I realized like they have to establish first why he gets banished, and then it also serves the purpose of what he's losing and what that means to him.
Yeah, because if you just start off the movie like we're in the first shot where like Thor lands on Earth and all that, that'd be kind of weird.
The Rancor is killed by Thor. They get overwhelmed. Heimdall sends down Odin, and Odin saves the day on his 8-legged horse.
Isn't there like a special name for that horse?
Yeah, it's like it starts with an S. It's like Shamu or something.
Yeah, Shamu Hamu.
Shamu Hamu, the horse. I'm sorry if anyone listening is like a big Norse mythology person. I'm not, and I don't all know Shamu Hamu's real name.
I like that. We should just make that what it is now.
Shamu Hamu.
Shamu Hamu.
The 8-legged horse.
So Thor's like, yeah, we'll finish them off together, father. And then Odin's like, silence, boy. Haha, you're a little idiot.
Dude, Anthony Hopkins' like performance is so good.
Yeah.
So they go back. Laufey tries to assassinate Odin but fails. The Norwegians 1, 2, and 3, and then Lady Sif go to the what's it called? The hospital infirmary.
Yeah.
Heimdall steps outside, and then Loki, Odin, and Thor are left. And this scene is freaking fantastic. I think it speaks volumes of like this movie, like where literally we just had an epic battle with like the frost giants and like gods fighting and lightning being summoned. And this is the scene that sticks out to me, is like this exchange between Odin and Thor. Anthony Hopkins is like really intense, and does such a great job like in this scene.
Well, yeah, because he's being the king who has to keep in mind protecting his people.
Right. But also like just the emotional weight to it. Like my boy Ken, said to Anthony Hopkins, like on the last take that they did, which I think is the take they used, he was like, all right, now let's hear the heartache. Because you got to think like Odin doesn't want to banish his only son, like, but he knows he needs to do it to, one, teach him a lesson, and to two, punish him obviously for like the whole war thing happening. But like it breaks his heart that like his son isn't ready, and like what he wanted him to live up to be like as king. And like just the heartache and the intensity. Oh my gosh. The crew apparently was actually like, several people were crying because of his performance.
Yeah, dude. That scene was like intense.
And then like when the music's swelling and when he rips off like those plates and like takes Mjolnir.
Yeah, just the rise in the conversation of like when they're like, I mean, you're competing with two different ideologies, which is definitely seen with like when they hit each other with the harder ones, where they're like, you're just a boy and you're just an old man and a fool. I mean, you see that they're not just thinking differently, because Thor wants to like just end them, and Odin's like, we need to have peace. You're literally seeing now it's at a point where they're just completely conflicted with each other's ideals.
Yeah. So as we know, Thor gets cast out to Earth, and then Anthony Hopkins does the like iconic engraving of Mjolnir.
Whoever shall be worthy.
Whosoever holds his family. Oh, wait. Holds his hammer.
Whoever holds his family. Oh my.
I was trying to say hammer and then worthy, and somehow that combined into family.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I just whoever shall hold this family.
I've been up for a while, Daniel.
Oh man. See, so you are tired. So now you know what I feel most of the time. See. So, anywho, yeah.
I think this whole like thing sets up obviously Thor, like the movie, but it really shows why Thor 1 works and Thor 2 doesn't, in my opinion. So like Thor actually has a struggle. He loses his power and pretty much his identity, and he has to figure out his life as a mortal without anything that he's known for the past like 1500 years. And in Thor 2, like he's just all powerful. Like there's not really a struggle that he has to like overcome besides obviously just like the villain. So this is very much more like a character driven story. And Thor 2, I don't really know. I haven't seen it in a while, but like kind of isn't.
Yeah, I think Thor 2 tries to be more of like a world story rather than a character story, which is why it wasn't really received that well. I mean, it did good when it was trying to deliver what it did for like say the Power Crystal and all that, but
the Power Stone.
Yeah, I don't know why I said crystal.
Jeez, that's almost as bad as saying family.
Okay, that was definitely
who would ever do that?
That is definitely not as bad as saying family instead of hammer, because crystal and stone.
Let's move on. I can cut whatever I want out of this podcast. Just remember that.
It's whatever we want.
So
maybe that's the true meaning.
We've been talking for like almost an hour, and we're back to the beginning.
I know. That's why I'm like,
where he gets hit by the car,
bruh.
I like the juxtaposition just between the two locations with Asgard and New Mexico. Just the whole grandness of Asgard.
I thought you were about to say the whole grandness of New Mexico. I was like, what?
and then on the opposite side of things, the amazingness of New Mexico. No, but like the desert, like the vast emptiness. And they said that was very intentional, and they wanted to parallel the vast like empty plain of the desert with the vast like landscapes,
vast
skyline
of
goldness of Asgard, pretty much. Very good location choices. Also, New Mexico, like we said in Iron Man 2, was what Coulson was talking about. So nice connection.
And we see this later because Mjolnir crashes after Thor. We see like it come down after he's taken to the hospital.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Mjolnir in my notes. I do not think that I spelled Mjolnir the same, like at all, in my notes.
MJLORNIR.
I don't think there's an R in there at all. You put 2 R's in there.
Mjolnir. Did I?
Mjolnir. I mean, there's an R at the end. Yeah, it's MJOLNIR.
Yeah, that's too short.
Mjolnir.
I feel like I'm dyslexic.
Have you seen that Ant-Man thing? There's an Ant-Man cast like interview, and the interviewer asks like, how do you pronounce Thor's hammer? And all the cast is like Majon, Majo, and then like Paul Rudd's like
just like Dave or something like that.
Justin or something.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Paul Rudd. Back to the tank. So Thor is like,
that was a good one.
Thinks it's a bad joke, gets tased by Darcy. I really like the whole thing, which we see for the next few minutes of Thor just like being like, how dare you threaten, and then like getting like tased or like just taken out very easily.
Yeah, I mean, but it also goes to show like how entitled he feels because of how much power he's used to having,
right,
as well as like his princely,
which is good to show his journey.
Yeah.
And then so they get taken to that town in New Mexico, which that town they actually had to like, they built the whole thing pretty much. Like I think it's like a movie set.
What?
It's like a movie set, like typical town that a lot of movies are filmed in, but they pretty much like the like construction workers came 6 months before they had to shoot there, and they like built pretty much like the whole town so they could have full control when later the destroyer comes and like blows it up, so they could actually do it.
Dude, that's a lot of wood.
Yeah, you are right.
That is a lot of building. Not as much as building as Asgard, but still a lot of building for like real world scope.
Thor gets taken to the hospispittal.
He tackles a couple nurses because he doesn't know what's going on. They, I almost said seduce. They.
Hey, you got a thunder.
I was thinking like subdue and like tranquilize, and I was like seduce for some reason. I'm like, what the hell?
That would be a very different movie.
Thor. Natalie Portman just walks in. That's like she did to Annie. Annie, we can't do this.
A random pear just floats over it and she eats it.
Anywho, so Thor is.
You know what's ironic?
What?
Maybe Natalie Portman went to hide away from Anakin. That's why she's in the desert.
Oh my goodness. That's it. That is it. She came to Earth from a long time ago just to leave Darth Vader. She faked being...
She faked her death? She's actually alive.
She's dying of sadness. Bro, really?
Aren't we all dying of sadness?
Oh, I know I am.
That was deep. All right, let's get back to the tank. Hospital. So Thor gets stabbed in the butt and is tranquilized, seduced.
Yeah.
Selvig and Foster are discussing the storm.
They see this image that is put up on the wall, and they're like, yeah, Thor's there.
And I really like that transition they do. They pretty much line up the shot like of the silhouette of Thor and then line it up.
Oh, you mean the graphic cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They cut it to Thor in the hospital, like perfectly lined up over the image. Now it's like actually like a really freaking good editing technique. So for editing, people just think it's like cutting things together, but like there's a whole technique to it. Like obviously we talked about like before the side of your shots that you're looking at and stuff, but for this, like I've been doing a little bit of research, and for editing, like basically you don't want to have people's eyes like work too much. You want it to kind of guide naturally.
Have like a nice path between like shot to shot.
Yeah, exactly.
That way it's not like you're jumping all over the place.
Right. In that scene transition, like they could have had Thor just like regular stood up, and you would have had to move your eyes from the left where that image was to like the top, but they lined it up so that Thor was on the left and the silhouette was left. So literally you do not have to move your eyes at all. And then like bam, the next shot happens. That's like separates the good from the great editors pretty much. And I also like, so did you see those Crocs on the right?
What do you mean, like in the hospital room?
There's like red Crocs in the hospital in the room.
No, I did not see those.
I noticed that and I was like, what the heck is that? And then the director actually said, he was like, you see those Crocs? And I was like, yes, Ken, my boy Ken, I do see those Crocs. He was like, it's so that you could kind of have Thor's color scheme subtly in there. Like they have like the blue and then the muted gray, and then they also have red for like his cape. And I was like, that's a cool little thing. Thanks, Ken, my boy Ken.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that separates good from the great. I guess I'm the great.
So Thor wakes up and he's like, okay, I gotta get out of here. So he's able to like eel his way out of like these restraints.
Oh wait, also we missed that some guy found Mjolnir in the desert.
Oh, that's right. And they started trying to like
happened.
tow it out and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's a cute little Stan Lee thing. He's like, did it work?
Yeah, we get a little Stan Lee cameo, which is nice. Ken also had very high like regards for Stan Lee. He said that he was a very like just nice, genuine person, was very happy to be a part of it, and like very much approved and liked this movie a lot, which I thought was very nice. And also Stan Lee originally, like when he heard this movie was being made before any casting was done, he was like, I kind of wanted to be Odin, and I was like, that would have been good casting too, like as the like all father of like the MCU kind of thing.
I feel like that would have worked, but I feel like it's better as him as like a watcher.
Yeah, but he also agreed that like Anthony Hopkins was definitely like the right choice.
Yeah. Plus then any other Stan Lee cameo would have been like, what is Odin doing here?
Yeah, true. So Thor gets hit by a car again, and they take him back to the house. And also, at this time with the Stan Lee cameo. Coulson comes up and like the post-credit scene from Iron Man 2, and he's like, "We found it, sir." And then they start building the whole like Shield village around
Shield Village
around the crater.
Shield Village. I don't know why that just popped in my head.
That like the theme song.
Yeah, that's the theme song now.
That's what they say. They say the national anthem, then they sing that, and then they start their day at work. So we're getting back now to, like we said, to Chris Hemsworth. After he got hit by the car, Jane Foster takes him in, and because she wants to ask him questions about what the heck he was doing in that Einstein-Rosen bridge. And we see shirtless Chris Hemsworth.
Wait,
Chris Hemsworth.
He was so stunning that you forgot how to say his name.
I know. I was just in awe. Ken, my boy Ken, actually sheepishly asked Chris Hemsworth. He was like, "Would you mind being shirtless for this scene so we show off your physique?" And Chris Hemsworth was like, Ken, my boy Ken, I was working for 6 months to get looking this good. I'm going to be shirtless at some point in this movie. So that's kind of how that conversation went down.
That's pretty funny.
Sorry, it needs to be more of Australian. No, I can't do an Australian accent. I'm not going to try.
I was like, Jake,
I thought about it.
Please try it. Come on, just once.
Ken, my boy, Ken. I can't, no. So
just go straight Western or like Southern. My boy Ken.
Moving on. So she gives him a shirt. We got to hide that sweet bod. And he has a name tag on. She has a name tag on it from her ex-boyfriend, Donald Blake.
Donald Blank.
Blank?
Which is actually, no, Blake.
Yeah, Donald Blake.
That's what I said.
Which is a reference to the comics.
To his actual alternate ego in the comics. Yeah.
He taps his, like, hammer, and then he, like, transforms into, like, a feeble doctor. Like a scrawny doctor that has an umbrella. And then when he taps his umbrella, he, like, becomes Thor when he needs to become Thor. And I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Well, no, but I like how they brought back the umbrella reference in Ragnarok later.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
I'm glad they didn't do like the 2 actor thing, like a Secret Identity and then Thor, because that would have just been like kind of a hassle. And like it's very difficult to have 2 actors act the same way for playing one character. Like I think an example of that is Shazam. Like, have you seen Shazam?
No, I've not.
Okay. Well, this isn't spoilers or anything, but like just in my opinion, the characters, like there's a guy, there's a kid, a 14-year-old kid playing a superhero. And then when he becomes Zachary Levi, like big Shazam, who actually Zachary Levi, he replaces Norwegian God number 3 in the next film. They recast him. Bet you didn't know that.
I did.
Well, bet I'm speaking to the audience, Daniel. It's hard to get like for Shazam, for example. It's like they had like the teenage angst kid, and then like Zachary Levi was like, "Oh, I'm a kid," la, 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 la. Like where all that teenage angst go.
Yeah, true.
That was my audition for Shazam Part 2. If you would like me to be a part of it, just let me know.
Please let me be the... Which one would you be? Would you be Buff Boy or would you be Little Boy?
I don't think I'd fit either.
Anyway, back to the tank. So
back to Asgard.
Yeah.
We find out that Loki told Odin that they went to Jotunheim.
Yeah.
There's a lead scene here also that Odin and Mama Thor, Frigga, whatever her name is, they argue because she's...
Mama Thor!
She's very upset that Odin banished Thor to Earth, which, like, is understandable.
How could you banish my baby boy?
But also at this point, like you said, this is the intense scene we were talking about earlier where Loki grabs the, whatever it is, something...
the ice cube.
Ice cube, that's it. It grabs, the person, Ice Cube. And then he turns blue. No, it's like an expectation subversion. He like walks forward towards like the actual Ice Cube, and then like off screen like grabs out something, and it like pulls like Ice Cube on screen, and then starts turning blue.
Ice Cube's actually the destroyer. And then he just reaches over and touches him, and he like, Odin comes in, he looks back, he's like, "What am I?" And he turns into a small, like his face morphs into a smaller version of Ice Cube.
It's like a deep fake. The deep fakes have been going around.
Yeah, no, I don't know why, but that scene literally replayed in my head just like that after you said that.
That is very weird.
And I lost it, yeah.
But anyways, so Loki grabs the Ice Cube and turns blue. And I really like the reveal. That was actually, the director took that suggestion from someone else where like they are on Loki's back and then he turns around and it reveals that he's like completely blue to Odin. And, this scene is also so good. Tom Hiddleston, like, seriously, like, goes off.
He does.
And like understandably so, like he's been lied to his entire life. Like I have no idea how I would like react to that.
Just being told that your life purpose was that you're going to try to make this merger, and now your brother destroyed that, which means technically your life now no longer has a purpose.
Yeah.
That you never knew about in the first place.
One part where it goes, hold on, I'm going to back up for this. Tell me!
That's good.
Was that too loud?
That was perfect.
All right. That part, oh my gosh, that was so good. That line. I just wanted to scream that. I hope my parents are like, not worried about me.
You're like, what? Jake, are you okay?
Tell me why am I a frost giant?
Tell me why. Oh, man.
Oh, that was also Anthony Hopkins' first day on set.
Wait, really?
When he goes into the Odin sleep. Yeah, that scene.
All right, so we need you to like fall asleep for how long? For like the rest of the movie. Oh, okay.
It's also just sad because Odin loves like his son. He loves Loki, and he just wants him to know that. But Loki's just so full of anger. Oh my gosh. My gosh.
It is still understandable because he's like, you hid from me, because it's not just like, yeah, you raised me, I guess you could say you saved me and all that, but one, I would have still had a father, which would have been Laufey, right?
Yeah.
Considering their culture would, technically still raise kids, assumingly.
I mean, he was the runt, so he probably would have been cast out or something.
No, that's true.
He's a small frost giant. Would he just be called Frost? He's a Frost.
He's just a Frost.
He's a Frost regular.
He's a Frost small.
But anyways, we cut back to New Mexico, and Thor here is at the diner, and he breaks a mug. Like this mug.
Don't break it!
That's me flicking the mug.
I thought you were about to...
I'm not, no. But this is just a nice reminder for our mug giveaway. Oh my gosh, June 30th. That's actually, when this episode goes out, that'll be like in 3 days. So get on it. You've got time. We're going to announce the winner shortly after that.
Are we going to start selling these like soon? Or no? Or yeah? Or maybe?
After the giveaway, we will, yeah. But I mean,
okay.
Yeah, we'll probably start selling these soon if you want. Just like, let me know.
So at that point, it's going to be like, this mug, I like it. Another. And then you buy another one. See, I made the line a joke.
I mean, if you want to buy mugs just to smash them, like, go for it. But
I mean, you've paid the money for it. I mean, you do whatever you want with it. It's your property at that point.
Yeah.
Even though it has our faces on it, it's fine,
If you really don't like us and want to break something with our face on it, this is a nice way to do it.
It's a win-win.
I don't want to think about that. Back to the tank. So, some country folk come in, and we talk about the satellite crash, which is Mjolnir.
And Thor's like, where is it? And then they're like 50 miles east. Was it east or west?
I thought it was west.
West. West.
East. I thought you said west.
So Thor starts like trying to figure out how to get there. Jane and...
They split ways.
Yeah, they split up. And that's because Eric was like, he's crazy. He's delusional. Because... that makes perfect sense for him because it's like
yes.
He's talking about being Thor and like all the gods and stuff. Which is funny to think about because if you actually did start the movie back where like it that opening scene where he gets ran over and stuff,
right,
without any of the reason why he got banished again,
yeah.
we would be in the same position that like Natalie Portman and like all the others are in.
Yeah.
Which, if you think of it that way, seeing the blind faith that she has. For just trying to understanding the truth.
It just goes to show that if you're hot enough, people will follow you anywhere.
That too. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up because I thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah. But also at this point, they split ways. Jane sees that S.H.I.E.L.D. is taking all their stuff, and Eric Selvig seems to like have knowledge of that these guys like mean business. So I don't really know what Eric's history with S.H.I.E.L.D. is. He says he like he knew a scientist who was a pioneer in gamma radiation. So I think he was referring to Bruce Banner. Maybe that's maybe another connection.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, and then they went in and like we didn't see it in the Hulk movie, right? Because one, like I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. was set up yet for that. Like they were still not
right.
But it would make sense because like in the Hulk movie, you saw that like all the information and stuff was wiped, and you could say it was the military, but it could also be said that it was also S.H.I.E.L.D. Because a faction of the government. So I think it works out if you think of it like that.
Right. Yeah, we cut back to Asgard and we see Loki consoling his mother.
Yep.
And then he goes onto the throne, and the warriors, the 3 Norwegian gods and Lady Sif come up because they want to. What do they want? They just want to get Thor back. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they were trying to convince Loki to bring Thor back.
And I think this is the one shot that does deserve this Dutch angle. Imagine if the whole film was shot regular, and then the Dutch angle of Loki sitting on the throne, because that's uneasy. I think that would have been sweet.
Wait, which came first, him consoling his mother or him on the throne? I feel like it was him on the throne, and then he went and talked to his mother.
Okay. Either way, I think the Dutch angle still would have been very unsettling.
Definitely.
I also like that this film is very much about Loki's descent into madness, which you eventually see, and kind of becoming the villain we eventually find in Avengers.
Yeah.
We back to the pet shop.
Yeah. So he's like, "Give me a horse," and he's like, "We don't have those."
I need a horse.
We have dogs and
I
cats.
love that line so much.
Give me one of those large enough to ride.
Well, also before this, Selvig's in the library, and
He finds that book.
He finds that book, which is a nice little nod with Thor's Day, meaning Thursday. And also you see Odin in there very quickly. He's holding the Tesseract because the Tesseract was like Odin's property, I think, in Norse mythology or whatever. And it's actually like implied that he took the Tesseract and put it where it is, where we find it in Cap 1.
Yep.
So that's a nice little connection.
Yeah, so Jane picks up Thor, and then they start driving off to Mjolnir. And then they start talking about, like, I want answers. I want to know what will happen. He's like, you'll get your answers when I get my hammer. He's like, you think me strange.
Is that your Australian accent?
Well, this is my Thor accent.
This is my Thor.
You think me strange?
Yes. I like the chemistry they have, that Jane and...
Yeah, no, it's very funny, but as well as like, oh, you know, they're getting along.
They also took an entire day to shoot that small part of them in the car.
Really?
Yeah. In the behind the scenes, my boy Ken was saying that, so Natalie Portman just worked on Black Swan, and people kept asking her, like, if it was frustrating going from a Marvel, like going from that Black Swan, like low budget kind of thing where you should have like creative freedom to like Marvel, like the machine almost thing. But Natalie Portman said because Marvel had such a budget, like they were able to experiment and take some time. Obviously, it wasn't all like improv, but like they were able to just kind of like riff off each other a lot of the time in that car scene and take all day to do that. Where like as in Black Swan, they would have had like half a morning to get that done.
Jeez.
Yeah. I thought that was a very interesting perspective, not really one you hear a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, also, this is the part where Loki consoles his mother because Ken, my boy Ken, said he had the hots for Frigga. Like, he really, like, think the actress was very attractive. He said it, like, 3 times, and I was like, dude.
Ken, calm it down, guy.
Yeah.
He puts, like, a secret message in Strucker's commentary. Hey, Frigga, if you're ever free, hit me up.
So, Jane and Thor come up onto the SHIELD base.
Oh,
and
man.
Thor somehow knows it's about to rain. Can he, like, still control it?
I think
like, I do not understand that.
I feel like there's still a connection between him and his power.
But he can't control it? Maybe he can just sense it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I would best explain it.
It's also an excuse for him to show off his guns and win a wet t-shirt contest.
Yeah.
Him with Betty from The Incredible Hulk.
Betty! Yeah.
And also we see Bald Hydra guy, Baldy McHydra, as I call him.
Fitzwell. Is it Fitzwell? I'm trying to think of his... I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. There are so many bald villains in the MCU, I came to realize. There's this guy, Baldy McHydra. There's Baldy McBurney. Jeff Bridges. There's Ant-Man's character. There's Thanos. I guess Fury balances them out because he's the ultimate good guy. So he balances out all the bad bald guys.
Down an eye, up a baldness. That's a good one.
Also, how did Thor cut the fence? Like, I don't understand that.
I feel like he probably just ripped it out.
I don't think, like...
Maybe he like, grabbed the rock and he's just like... I don't know. Jake, you're thinking too much into it.
Oh, well. Yeah.
I want to know more about how he got his little poncho.
He stole it off the guy he beat
that's
up.
right. He stole off the guy. Yeah.
Jeez.
That's a nice little poncho. So he goes around the SHIELD base, starts beating everybody up. SHIELD's just going crazy. They call in somebody to try to shoot him down.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, we need eyes in the sky.
Why does he grab the rifle first?
Well, he's told we need a gun in the sky.
It's Hawkeye. He's not going to grab the freaking rifle.
Well,
No, they said we need an eye in the sky, I'm pretty sure. Or like,
did he say an eye in the sky?
I don't know. I don't even know. But, like, it's Hawkeye. The fake out, I don't know. But anyways, it's Hawkeye. Also, speaking of that editing thing I was talking about earlier, I was actually paying attention to this editing, like, in the fight scene with Thor. It does a really good job, again, of kind of guiding your eye. Like, choreography mixed with the editing and the pacing. Excuse me, oh my gosh, I have the hiccups. And the pacing is, like... It's really good. Thor, I think, like, punches at one spot, and you watch his hand, and, like, that, like, cuts to, like, Thor, like, there. It's, like, so quick, but, like, if you watch that back, the pacing and, like, the action, like, guides your eye between shot to shot. It's just done very well, in my opinion. I actually tried to, like, kind of mimic something similar to that with the mug, like, video. We did on Instagram. Like, obviously on a very much, like, simpler idea, but, like, if you watch, like, when I like, cue the epic B-roll and I point, like, that goes into my dad's hand moving across the screen, and that same direction, and then he picks up the mug, puts it down, which then I take the camera down, which cuts to like the coffee pouring, which is also moving down. Then I move left, which cuts left into like a push-in close-up. It's just like kind of like similar stuff. There's a lot that goes into it that people often don't think about. Just I think that's interesting. But you didn't think I put that much thought into that video, huh, Daniel?
I did not. So for those of you who are listening, go check out that video.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Back to the tank.
Yeah, back to the tank.
You're big.
Oh Jesus.
Float's bigger.
The way you said that.
That was my Thor. Were you intimidated?
That's sounded like some like other application or something like that on my computer. I was like, I don't have anything else open. What the hell is that coming from? That legitimately scared me.
That means my Thor was good. There's my Australian accent.
Yo, big. Oh my god. That gave me a spook.
I don't know why I said it's so funny.
Oh my god. Do it one more time.
I can't. I'm laughing too. What was it? Was like, you're big. I can't do it.
You can't. You did it like you did it so deep the first time. It like legitimately like I felt it in like my core. It was like some bass drop, but it was like
you just get abs from my majestic molasses voice.
Oh my god, that was.
Also, Ken, my boy Ken. I don't know why I keep saying that.
My boy Ken.
He said the might. Oh my gosh, the mud fight, not the might. The mud fight scene that happened around 4 a.m. Like, it was a couple weeks of just grueling night shoots. And dude, I've been on one night shoot, and oh my gosh, those are tough. Once you get to like 3 a.m., you're like, oh my gosh, I just want this to be done. And like, he said that like Chris Hemsworth like never complained, like he did it and did a great job. So like, good for them. But like, night shoots are so freaking tough, dude.
I bet. Staying up to like 3? Who does that?
No, you stay up to like 6 a.m.
Oh, really?
And then yeah, when I was a production assistant, I was up really late because like I think we wrapped around 4:30 in the morning. So then everyone kind of went home. The director gets to leave early, but then the production assistants like have to like clean up everything, and like all the other people that are like below the line pretty much. So I got out there like about an hour later, like 5:30 I think, and then I drove the hour home to where I was staying. I was in Pittsburgh. I don't live in Pittsburgh, and then I like went to bed and like woke up much later the next day.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be like definitely bad for your sleep schedule. I like mess you up.
That's fine, but also ruined my sleep schedule was like a week later I went to Europe. So like I was just all over the place. That was when I went to YogCon. If
oh, that's right. Yeah.
You listen back to our episode 2, a little plug there.
That was a long time ago.
We're on episode 22.
Yeah, that's like an MCU worth of movies episodes ago.
Yeah, the same amount of work has been put into the MCU as has this podcast. Back to the tank. I do like, speaking of the you're big, fun figure. I like the punch sound effects, like the like deep thud. Speaking of deep manly voices.
Yeah, like the whaps. Yeah.
Because like when you punch someone like in real life, it doesn't make like a whap sound, but like this is like a thud. Like the Foley is really good. Foley. Do you know what Foley is?
Yeah.
Does the audience know what Foley is? I'm gonna sit and listen like Dora.
Oh sure. Let me explain it. So Foley art is like the art of combining and making different sounds.
No, I was gonna like leave a pause so that like, do you know what Foley is? And then let the audience. All right.
No, yeah, no, okay. Map, yeah!
Okay, Foley. Now go ahead, Daniel.
So yeah, Foley art is the art of combining different sounds to try to make fake, quote-unquote fake, or new sounds for cinematic scores or for sound effects. One of the coolest ones, that, in my opinion, is like Jurassic Park and like the T-Rex sounds and stuff like that, because nobody knows what T-Rex sounds like, so you gotta combine different sounds and stuff like that to get like that sound. That was very terrible.
That's
T-Rex.
kind of right, Daniel. Don't mean to step on your parade. I think you're just kind of describing sound design in general. Like that's where that Jurassic like Park thing would come in, which I agree is totally cool. But like, so Foley is more like the sound effects that you don't think about, like, or you don't call attention to. So like, I mean, obviously sometimes they come to prominence, like the thud of a punch, but that might even be more considered sound effects. But Foley, I guess, is more kind of like cloth, like rustling and like ambient sound, background noise, like footsteps. For example, if you put like a phone down like that, when you're recording like audio, a lot of the audio you hear in the final film is not what's recorded on set. It's just reference, except for maybe like some dialogue. So like when you record that dialogue, you're using like a very pointed mic. It's like called like a shotgun mic. It's very directional, so it only picks up exactly what it's pointing at. So if someone like drops their phone like even 3 feet away from them, it's not going to pick that up that well. So you have to add that in post. And that's kind of what Foley artists do. Like, there's a lot of really awesome behind the scenes Foley like videos, especially I watched them for Star Wars if you wanted to see some cool things, but they do like Anakin's like armor kind of like clinking in the cloth, and then like his metal hand hitting his side as he walks. Like, it's stuff you really don't think about, but like if it's not there, you know something's up, and it just adds to the whole environment of like a movie. It's very like meticulous stuff, but it's very, very cool.
Yeah,
that's a little Foley lesson.
Neat. Anywho,
back to the tank.
Well, what were we talking about? What was the original Foley thing we were talking about?
You're big. That's what
No, we're talking about the punches. That's what.
Yeah, so Thor gets to the hammer eventually after defeating that guy, and Hawkeye doesn't take the shot, and he's not worthy.
Yeah, he's not worthy, and he's like, he does his Thor cry.
Wait, you have to do Australian. Crikey! I like this part a lot where like the music is swelling and you think he's gonna get it, and then just like the total like change, the flip when you realize he's not worthy, he's not able to pick it up anymore. And I honestly think like I paused to write this down, and this happens literally like at basically the halfway point of the film, and that scene where like he can't pick up his hammer is literally his turning point. His goal changes. Like he doesn't really know what to do with himself anymore, which he explains later. But like he doesn't have a purpose because like he realizes like his brute force isn't gonna win him. Like if he would get to the hammer and pick it up like through brute force, punching everyone and pick it up, like he would have learned nothing. But like he's starting to realize like his strength and arrogance and just fighting his way through everything is not what's going to like that's not what the lesson he needs to know, kind of thing. That's not the answer to everything in life.
Yeah.
And he starts to learn that, and at this point. Yeah, but I thought that was a very, very cool scene.
I think it's it's a really good point.
I also like when this is like pulling out and we cut back to Asgard. You see Heimdall in his eye. You see like the shield base.
You see the reflection of the base.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, Heimdall, he's.
I never noticed that before.
He's a soft boy. You didn't?
No, I thought that was very cool.
I always noticed that. I was like, oh, he's like a dad, but not dad.
Good for you. I guess that separates the good from the great. I'm just the good.
So we pretty much get Thor inside the custody of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're like, hey.
Coulson's interrogating him. So there are so many freaking Dutch angles in this scene.
Yes, it's weird.
But they also do something. They cross the 180 line a lot, which I think we've described before. But they don't do it like in a jarring way. They basically keep cutting behind Coulson's neck, which is interesting because they just keep doing it just to kind of show that, like, just to show, like,
he's above Thor in this context.
The intensity of the situation, and also Thor is kind of just, like, doesn't know who he is or who he's going to be anymore. So I think that is done effectively.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, speaking of like camera work, Thor shot with a high angle, meaning it's like looking down on him. So that kind of shows that he's like in a position of weakness, not necessarily like against Coulson. I guess Coulson is sort of this authority figure,
but just in general.
Obviously he doesn't like pose a threat to him, but like Thor is just like so defeated that like he's being looked down on. The mighty Thor has fallen. Loki comes in. I love how he comes in like as Coulson's leading, the door shuts, and then you just see like
him in the reflection.
Yeah, that's a cool shot. And he lies. What does he say?
So he says that Odin's dead, even though he's not. He says that your banishment is the only thing keeping this treaty between Jotunheim and Asgard stable, which is also not true because there's no treaty.
Right.
So, Loki, what the heck, bro?
He's low-key evil. Oh.
But no, at this moment you start seeing Thor, or he's more humbled by what happens.
He's realizing his actions have consequences, and he apologizes, which is big.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the apologizing type.
Loki also says that his mother forbids him from coming home, and I was like, oh, that's rough. Hit him while he's down. Yeah. So Loki then leaves and tries to pick up the hammer. He does not.
He's still unworthy.
I like that little touch.
I feel like Loki could have got what he wanted without being a complete d-bag. Like, he could have just told the truth to Thor. Like, he could have made Thor an ally but still been king, you know what I mean? And like still ended the Frost Giants. I don't know. There's something.
Yeah, but then Thor wouldn't have learned his lesson, and the movie wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, true. It's about Thor. It's not about Loki. Anywho, so he's just such a good character. I just want him to be good.
I know. That's what my mom kept saying. She was like, I want to be a good guy, but he's not.
Anywho, so yeah, like you said, Loki tries to lift it, but he can't. So then he goes back home.
Selvig saves the day.
And Selvig, yeah, and he's like, yeah, I'll come in and save the boy.
He says he's Dr. Donald Blake again, which is that reference to the alter ego from the comics.
So then they get out.
Thor nabs the
book for Jane.
The book, which I think is a nice touch that he does for Jane. Coulson's like, keep him away from the bars, and then they go to a bar. This scene was actually a lot longer, the bar scene, in the original edit. Like, they actually went outside. There's a deleted scene where they actually have the bar fight. It's not really a fight, it's just kind of them pretending they're about to fight, and then Selvig, like, falls over because he's too drunk.
I feel like that would have worked. Would have made sense.
Yeah. Selvig, pretty much in the real scene, asks Thor to leave town tonight.
Which he doesn't do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Selvig would have been able to get home, so. Yeah. But yeah, the ending, actually, that ending, like I said, the ending of the bar scene was re-edited 150 times.
Really?
Before settling on what they did. Yeah, dude. And Ken, my boy Ken, he said that that's like typical for most scenes. Dude, a lot goes into making these movies.
Dang. Jeez, that's a lot.
Because you got to think, like, when you write something for a script, it plays out the same way. And then when you edit it, you can change things. They say that, like, editing is the third time rewriting the script. First time you write it when you write the script, then in production, then the final time is editing. Like we were saying with the editing techniques, to make it work, like, so your eye can, like, follow.
That's true.
There's so many options you have when you get so many camera angles, like close-ups, wide shots, like, to have your eye flow. And then, like, with the pacing, like, there's so much you can work with. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Anyways, after the bar, Loki goes to see his real daddy, the Frost Giants. Actually, I think this podcast comes out like the day before Father's Day. So happy Father's Day, fathers.
And Laffy.
And Laffy.
I guess.
This is Editor Jake from the future. I miscalculated when this was coming out. It's coming out a week almost after Father's Day. So happy belated Father's Day. On with the show.
But yeah, so he goes to see
let's take this moment. Is there anyone you want to wish happy Father's Day to?
Yeah, happy father. I almost said happy birthday. Happy Father's Day, Dad, if you listen.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, Dad. And Pab, thank you for listening, both of you. And everyone that listens. But you guys, because it's Father's Day. And any fathers out there.
Yeah, any fathers. Good or bad. Actually, hopefully you're all good.
And Odin, the All-Father. Happy... I almost said birthday too now. Oh my gosh.
Right?
Father's Day.
Yeah.
So what does Loki discuss? What's the plan?
So, well, first of all, he tells them that he's the one that allowed the Frost Giants in the first place on Thor's day. And he's like, that was just for a little bit of fun, but this is the plan. You will get your ice cube back if you go in and kill Odin, because that will make me king.
Yep.
And he's like, I accept.
Yep.
And then Heimdall's like, I wasn't able to hear or see you. And Loki's like, I'm your king now. Shut up.
Look at me. I am the captain now.
Literally.
So Thor brings Eric back to Jane's mobile home, and I really like that she puts the cereal in the cabinet. That's a nice little touch.
It's like, that's not the right place for it.
And then they go up to the roof, and with now reborn Thor, new Thor, he's changed.
Because he's a brunette. No, because he's...
Stops bleaching his eyebrows.
No, because he's starting to understand and see what it's like to actually help people and try to actually understand them instead of trying to brute force through everything.
Yeah.
And he starts to explain to her the universe.
Right, the whole 9 realms thing and magic and science combined into one, all that hubble-baloo.
Yeah.
So the next scene, when they eat breakfast, when they're eating breakfast, there's a lead scene actually where Thor asks for a mug that he has from breakfast, and he's like, can I have this? And she goes, yeah. And he actually walks back over to the diner that they were at the other day, and he gives the mug to the owner as a sorry for acting out because he didn't realize it was bad. And I really like that. I kind of wish that wasn't cut.
Aw, yeah, that would have been cute.
That shows his growth. That shows that he's learning to care about others. I mean, it may seem fast that he's kind of 180'd, but I think once he had that kind of epiphany and just the thought that his dad is dead, that can change you really fast. You know?
I mean, not only that he's dead, but he's dead because of you, and you were banished, and you started a war, and your mother doesn't love you anymore, and your brother is now king when you thought you were gonna be king, and there's a lot of a lot of heavy stuff there, you know?
Yeah, but like we said, the 3 Norwegian people go find
and Lady Sif.
Thor and Lady Sif.
Yeah, we should also mention that Shield has been watching them the whole time since they left.
Yeah, so they call it in.
Which, by the way, going back into what we're talking about with the scene set up here, the whole town, literally building 3-story roofs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You had to have people up there, then you also had to have...
I even struggle with Legos.
I'm not sure if it would have been a crane or if it would have been just an upward... Because the shot was down above the 3rd story, right?
Yeah.
So it's that's even higher. So you got to deal with that kind of camera working angle, stuff like that. So it's just a lot of engineering and structure that went into that, which I appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the movie industry, there's a lot of jobs for people. I'm pretty sure Harrison Ford was a carpenter for George Lucas on one of his projects, and then he read for a role and then became a movie star.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Anywho, back to the tank. So
Loki sends the destroyer after Thor.
Yep, he found out that the friends can go find Thor.
They revealed to Thor that Odin is alive.
He's just taking a nap. Call the Odin sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the destroyer comes in. Shield's like, what is this?
Well, I like how there's a quick line that the guy's like, is this one of Stark's? And then...
Oh, yeah, true.
Coulson just sounds so pissed off. He's like, I don't know. That guy never tells me anything. That's a perfect Coulson reaction after having literally... Because you got to think, he literally just left Tony Stark, not even a week ago. ago in Iron Man 2 to like go down to New Mexico, and then like he just thinks like another Tony Stark thing is here.
I mean, it makes perfect sense though, because it is like a humanoid giant metal suit thing. So it was perfect time to do that.
So Thor starts to evacuate the town.
Yep.
And I like that action just like shows growth, because like at the beginning of the movie he would not care, I don't think, about like civilian casualties, and now he's like trying to get people safe before this whole battle goes down, even though he has like no power.
Yeah, I agree. He's caring about others.
There's a battle.
They try to get everybody out. There's a battle.
They get to blow up the town.
The destroyer's destroying. Yeah.
Which is cool. What you say, the destroyer what?
The destroyer's destroying.
Oh, I thought you said the destroyer's destroyed. Like that was how you were gonna cover the whole battle. And I was like,
no.
A lot happens. Like Thor like becomes Thor again. That's kind of important. You just kind of glossed over that.
Well, no. So you're saying those explosions, those weren't like CGI or anything. Those were like actual legit explosions.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Because there were a lot of explosions in that scene.
Some might have been enhanced.
Oh, definitely. But like that's still.
Yeah, they blew up like the gas station, like for real. Like,
dang.
Yeah.
Thor realizes that it's like after him, so he's like, "You guys get out of here."
Yeah, Thor basically sacrifices himself, even though he knows he's a man, he'll die. So he goes up, and I like the shots between Loki and Thor as he's walking up, minus the Dutch angle. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But as he's walking up, like, brother, if I've harmed you, and he like sincerely apologizes, even though like Loki's literally just lied to him, he's still like trying to forgive and solve it peacefully through just talking. Even though like he literally has no other option, like he can't just beat it up, and he sacrifices himself. And dude, when the crunch of when like he gets hit in the face,
yes,
that is rough.
Oh, it's freaking gnarly.
Thor literally dies, and there's a tear from Odin, and Mjolnir flies to Thor. And this like kind of symbolizes Ken, my boy Ken. He said that like it's like the death of old Thor, and like for Thor to become worthy, the old Thor had to die. So I think that's very, very cool.
Well, no, I never thought about it like that, because he was already acting like new Thor, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess that does make sense.
It's also really cool when he becomes Thor again.
He gets chunky.
Yeah, and he does the tornado to defeat the destroyer.
He whips it good, and then he's like, okay, I have to go back home.
Well, right before he destroys it, it's very similar to Infinity War when he chucks, like, he flies his hammer through, like, the beam and, like, goes through his face, except this time he aimed for the head, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But I guess because the beam was coming from the head, so that's kind of a...
Yeah, that makes more sense. Like, the threat is directly in the head.
Yeah.
And also, in Infinity War, he also just got Stormbreaker. He may not be used to the weight or anything,
right.
You know what I mean? So, it's kind of... You could be like, oh, I actually went low. Oh, it's still, like, cut his chest open. That's okay. It's fine. It didn't kill him.
I also absolutely love after, like you said, the destroyer shows up and then Coulson like rolls up. He's like, you haven't been completely honest with me, have you, Dr. Blake or whatever? And then Thor goes, listen here, son of Cole. Like, I never heard that line before. And because he's Cole's son, get it?
Yeah, no, dude, I get it.
But like, it's just such a quick thing. Like, listen here, son of Cole, and he like goes off in his whole tangent. Like, I'm on your side, blah blah blah. I thought that was so funny.
I feel like he calls him that again in Avengers.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe I just didn't pay attention. Now I'm actually paying attention.
But yeah, he pretty much just says like, yeah, we're allies. Keep it cool, keep it chill.
Stay frosty, my friends. And then they fly. Get it? Because the Frost Giants. Speaking of, transition. The Frost Giants are led into Asgard by Loki at this point.
But then Loki betrays them and he kills Loki and others. And he's like, I did it for you, father.
Oh, also Heimdall's frozen in via Ice Cube.
Oh, yeah. Ice Boy. So they try to call Heimdall up to like get them back to Asgard. He can't.
Well, he breaks out of the ice like a bad A.
Which also is a really cool effect. So then he pretty much calls up Thor and the Warriors and Sif.
He just calls him up on his phone like, hey, how you doing?
Hey, Loki's kind of taking over.
Odin's about to die. Yeah, Jane and Thor have to say goodbye. Thor tells Jane that he will return. They kiss. I like Jane's character. She's a very strong female lead. Not just like a love interest. Like, she has her own goals and her own accomplishments as like a scientist, and she's a good arc in my opinion.
Yeah, so
learning about like magic and science.
Like, she wasn't just some like love dame on the side.
Femme fatale.
Yeah.
Right.
So I definitely agree with that. That's something Marvel's also done very well overall.
Yeah.
But anywho, so Thor, they go back.
Laufey's about to kill Odin. Speaking of strong female characters, I like that Frigga, Mama Thor, gets a hit in on a Frost Giant before getting
that's true.
attacked. Laufey is like, it's really uncomfortable. He's like straddling Odin over his bed.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was kind of a fake out because you think that you see Thor flying to the castle and you think that he blasts Laufey, but it's revealed that it's Loki actually.
Yeah.
Unluckily for Loki, Thor's back and reveals that he's been lying.
Why you always lying?
I was thinking that, but I was like, no, I won't do that.
Well, I did.
So Loki pretty much goes to the Bifrost because he wants to destroy Jotunheim. Because like we said, he just wants his father's care and attention. And Ken, my boy Ken, he said that the reason that Loki wants to destroy Jotunheim is because he wants to destroy any tie he has to that planet, so he can feel like he is Odin's only, like, not only son, but only attached to the Asgardians. He's fully an Asgardian. Like, if he wipes out that race, then he's not a frost giant anymore. There are no such things as frost giants. He still wants his father's attention and love, and he feels like, again, like Thor was at the beginning, if he takes him out, that, like, that's the way to do it. Yeah. So it's wrong.
As well as going back to that whole argument with that he had with Odin before he went to sleep. Like, he had that purpose of trying to solve things with them.
Right.
So now that they're at war, quote unquote, this would be like a way to end the war.
Right.
And like still serve his purpose, per se.
Yeah. I really like also when he like puts his thing in and like starts the Bifrost pretty much, and how it like freezes the electricity.
Puts his thing in. I feel like
oh my gosh. I like when like he puts the sword or whatever, the key in to start the Bifrost, and then like because it's like destroying Jotunheim, it like freezes the electricity. And I feel like we were talking about earlier with the tree that represents the tree of life. That's like the tree of life being like cut off and frozen, not allowing to be fluid and like balanced, you know?
Yeah, it's being limited. It's being like you said, like frozen and cut off.
Yeah, so that like kind of visual cue again, showing off some cool stuff. I don't know if you noticed in the podcast, but every once in a while I like change the tone of my voice because I feel like I've been talking like pretty monotone for a while, and I just like suddenly realized. So I'm like, all right, I've been talking like this. Whoa, the Bifrost.
That's why I always like to do like little like random jokes here and there, like why you always lying.
Yeah,
just change it up. Change
the tone.
Yeah. Get it in there. You could be talking about something like totally sad and depressing, and you're just like, haha, funny.
Haha, assassin. So Loki's plan like really starts unraveling. Tom Hiddleston, dude, just so good. And I also like that Loki's like a decent fighter, because like he's been trained in like Asgardian fighting techniques, and actually Tom Hiddleston trained in like Brazilian martial arts before this movie, so that was kind of cool.
That's neat.
Yeah, ultimately Thor is stronger in this final battle, and they blast back onto the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, they're on the Rainbow Bridge. There's a point here that I want to bring up where he puts his hammer on Loki just to like keep him pinned down, and then there's like a little moment there. Something that we always talk about in animation, like when you're actually like in 3D animation specifically. Yeah, you have to have your thinking moments in there, like when your character is like trying to decide what to do, because you could just have him jump from like action to action. Right. It's very easy to do like if you're in the middle of a fight, but at this point like the fight's practically over, so now he's on a different problem. Like, okay, how do I save Jotunheim? How do I stop the Bifrost?
I totally agree with you.
Just the point of like him stopping Loki by putting his hammer down on him literally, and then having to think about like, okay, how do I solve this problem? That was a very good moment, and I think that was definitely needed.
And that's also just shows his growth, because beginning of the movie Thor would have never thought like he just would have
he would have just jumped right into it.
Yeah, but like you got to think of all the things going through Thor's mind at this point. He's got to think, I have to save like the 9 realms, but if I destroy this Bifrost, like Loki says, there's no way anyone can leave the planet, like, or Asgard or whatever, and he'll never be able to see Jane again after he literally just promised that like he'd be back and like kind of just connected with her. Like, that's huge, and he's got to think quick because the planet's getting destroyed. It's a superhero movie, so he does the hero thing and saves Jotunheim.
Jotunheim saved.
Yeah. Then they like fly up and almost both fall off Asgard.
They get caught by Odin.
But Odin woke up from the Odin sleep.
Yeah. Odin apparently is also like the Flash, because he just like was there.
Maybe his hammer pulled him off too.
You just had to say it like that, didn't you?
Maybe he had Schmer, the 8-legged horse.
Oh, that's true. Shmoo?
Twice the amount of legs, twice the amount of speed.
Double the horsepower.
It's like 2 horsepower in 1 horse. Bang for your buck.
Oh, that's funny.
But then
Loki's on the end of like the staff, Thor's holding it, and then Odin's holding Thor.
It's like a big game of the monkey
chain,
like plastic things. Yeah, but there's one defective monkey and he lets go.
Well, he lets go because he's like, Father, I could have done it. Could have done it for you. And then all Odin says was, no, Loki. And Loki's like, screw you, Dad. And he's a suicide.
I'm a head out. He goes into the void.
Loki falls into this black hole, or it's not a black hole, it's a wormhole, I guess. Loki is thought to be dead.
And we come back to Earth, and actually, so this last shot is just Jane, Darcy, and Selvig looking at like the sky, and it's like a beautiful sunset shot. So this was actually shot like all practically like in golden hour. They like didn't realize that was supposed to be like a good sunset, so like like they actually saw, like they were kind of just like chilling, doing a different shot, and all the actors were in their trailers, and then they saw that like this was a beautiful sunset, so like they literally were scrambling, like people were assembling the camera super fast. Someone ran to like everyone's trailers, like, get out, we're doing a shot. So like the actors were like not prepared to shoot this shot at all. Like, what's happening?
It feels like the Minutemen of like, what was it, Revolutionary War?
Yeah, it's just really funny that like it's like a majestic shot, but like before it's like the
everyone's just like, what? We gotta stand here, okay? What phase?
Yeah.
What action? What am I doing?
But then we cut to Asgard again, the celebratory feast with Norse man number 1 leading the charge.
Again, I don't know, like, why are you celebrating? You know?
Well, they're celebrating that, like, I think Odin's alive and that Thor's back, maybe.
And maybe that the war didn't happen.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good point.
It's like bittersweet because obviously
They think Loki's dead.
Thor is mourning. Yeah. I like the moment between Odin and Thor at the end here where, like, they're just talking, and Ken, my boy Ken, he said that. Am I overdoing that?
You might have to cut a couple out, but I think you're okay.
Ken.
You should do a Ken counter.
He said that like it's like these two warriors that like have to put up this facade of being super tough, and they're like trying to open up to each other, and it's tough for them to show their emotions, but like they are, and they've grown and bonded. They have to like get through this experience of like Loki being dead like together, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Thor. He lost Loki and Jane.
Well, he didn't really lose Jane. You know, he's like
temporarily lost Jane and he didn't really lose Loki either.
Oh no, that's the thing. Like at that point, he thought he did. He thought like Loki was dead.
Right.
You know, so like he's like, at least Jane's still alive, as far as he knows.
Yeah. I also feel bad at the end. We see Heimdall. I feel bad for him. Literally, like only his like place of work was destroyed. The rest of Asgard is fine.
Good point. He's like, I'm out of a job.
Yeah.
He's not being out of a job. He's still like the Watcher. You know.
Yeah. Have you seen that? How it should have ended with Heimdall?
No. How did that go?
It's basically like the same as like Thor coming up to Heimdall, like, how is she? And he's like, I see her now. And then he goes, she bathes as we speak. And he goes, stop watching. What are you doing?
That is true. Heimdall could be pretty pervy if he wanted to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. How do you think that seeing all works? Like, how would you process that?
It's probably
Do
like
they get to pick and choose?
in Man of Steel, where like he has to like choose and like kind of tune in and tune out what he wants to focus on.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's
Thor.
At this point, I was watching this on Disney Plus, and it was like the credits started rolling, and it was like, we suggest like Avengers Ultron next. I was like, no, I need the post-credits scene. Before like the credits, they had those like fancy like graphics similar to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That like sequence flying through space and like the Tree of Life took 18 months to like make.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Also, the post-credit scene was directed by Joss Whedon, which you will notice there are no Dutch angles. Thank you, Joss Whedon. Not for making Avengers, arguably one of the most like revolutionary like films of all times, but for not putting any more Dutch angles in Thor.
So, Jake, you want to tell what happens during that scene, which is kind of very important?
Yep. So
leading up into Avengers,
Selvig meets with Fury, and then he's like, oh, it's the Tesseract, which we will talk more about in Cap next time, which we actually have a special guest coming on for that, which I'm excited about. We've talked about him before in the podcast, so you'll just have to wait and see who that is.
It's Ken.
It's Ken, my boy Ken. Fury's like, this is potentially the like opportunity to get unlimited power, and I was like, unlimited power. Mace Windu's on the other side of it now. But we also see Selvig being influenced by Loki, who is alive at the end.
Yeah, and he's also pretty beat up, but he's alive.
I mean, falling through space would probably do that to you.
Yeah, good point. But it's kind of thinking that would be like the second time. Well, that time was the first, but there'd be like 2 times that Loki has like fallen through an Einstein-Rosen bridge and survived.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, that's like literally falling through like a jump in space time, and that would probably hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah.
But that is Thor. I've got a couple last minute things for Thor. I think it's really cool. Just thinking about like the scope, doing all this research into like Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, soon Captain America, like just seeing what goes into developing each of these heroes. Like we said, like developing the cultures and then like the costuming. It said they had like an hour for Thor to get into his costume every morning. Just think about how much work that is and then multiply that by 6, because like for the Avengers every day to like get up in costume and everything to do that. And then like multiply by like however much for like Infinity War and Endgame. Like that is crazy how many people required for that.
Yeah, that's true. Freaking Endgame must have been like, that would have been a lot.
Oh, also, this is very important. So there was a short film actually that was attached to the DVD with this called like The Consultant or something like that. And pretty much it was Coulson and Bald Hydra guy, Baldy McHydra. They were in like a diner in New Mexico. and Baldy McHydra.
Oh yeah. I forgot about
Yeah,
this.
pretty much the World Council wanted the Abomination for the Avengers Initiative, and Coulson was like, we don't want that. Fury doesn't want that. So, like, what do we do? And so they were like, what if we just send someone, Ross, who has the Abomination in custody, someone that they can't, like, they just can't accept. They can't, like, say yes to. And so they're like, all right, we'll send this guy. And they were like, are you sure? That might be too much. And they sent Tony Stark, and that's why Tony Stark at the end of Hulk, that's why he's in the post-credit scene, because they sent him so that Ross would say no. I thought that was crazy. Like, I never knew that.
That is crazy to think about.
Because I also wondered, people have wondered, like, why did they send RDJ? Like, why? But that makes sense. I love that connection.
Yeah.
Like, at the end, they're like, he did a great job. Ross tried to have him kicked out of the bar, so he bought the bar. It's being demolished next week.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, so I forgot the whole context of it. Like, I know what you're talking about, but I totally forgot about it. Like, it was like, that's a cool little tidbit.
I think it's kind of crazy that, like, after the Thor, like, press tour, they started filming Avengers, like, a few weeks after that. So, like, that was a busy few months for the Thor cast.
Yeah, it must have been a lot.
So, like, they didn't know anything about it during the press tour, which is probably good. So they didn't spoil anything.
Unlike some people later on.
Another Tom H.
Yeah.
I also think it's very interesting, like, just thinking, when I'm doing all this research for the podcast, like, how much YouTube has changed literally over the past, like, not even 10 years. Because I think this came out 2011. Thor did. Back in then, like, it was just random people kind of uploading these interviews from, like, press tours that were, like, air on TV. And now, like, so many, like, media companies, like, live online. And, like, when, like, a new Marvel or Star Wars movie comes out, like, there are so many, like, resources for, like, interviews you can look at and behind the scenes stuff. Like, I remember, like, when Ant-Man 2, like, came out, like, there were so many, like those Google autofill things, and, like, there's, like, interviews with people, like, they just, like, play with puppies, like,
yeah.
people trying to outdo each other on the internet. And, like, back, like, not even, like, 10 years ago, like, there was none of that. Like, it's just crazy how quickly the internet has, like, evolved, and, like, with new media and promoting stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. People are always talking, especially about when it comes to stuff that everybody's already going to be talking about, which is Marvel, you know? So just the more content you can get, like, even beyond the movies, which is always great whenever you have stuff like the cast. Right. It's just, you know, gets more eyes, which is, you know, obviously where the money's going to be.
Right.
Again, I agree with you. How it's amazing to see how that growth has happened over the years.
Right. One last thing for Thor. So Anthony Hopkins signed on for the movie before even reading the script because he respected Ken, and he also heard that it was like a father-son story, and he really thought that was appealing. So I thought that was cool. That is all I got for Thor. Bam. Oh my gosh, we've been talking for a long time.
We have been.
I edited this down, but we've been talking for 2 hours, 12 minutes.
Yes.
At the moment. I don't really cut much. I just, like, if people were like, oh my gosh, where's all that content going? It's probably, like, be edited down to, like, an hour 45-ish.
It's like me coughing, or, like...
Yeah, it's Daniel coughing. It's me, like, thinking, like, what the fudge am I supposed to say next? And then looking at my notes.
It's like us having, like, brain farts.
Yeah.
And just being like, what were we talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, how Jane touched the Aether, and then got... Oh, wait, that's the next movie.
But before we head home, I wanted to thank our patrons again. We got Rick, we've got Tony, Frank, and Lori. Thank you so much for being the patrons. You're at the level that gets shouted out. So thank you. And thank you to all our patrons. And thank you to everyone doing that social media giveaway and the reviews. I'll read a review. Daniel, talk about something while I pull up a review.
You guys have been doing such a great job, you know, helping us expand and grow. And we honestly are just fully thankful for you guys. But yeah, keep on going on hard with it with the reviews and stuff like that. Jake's pulling up one right now.
Yep, I got it whenever you're ready.
You're good.
All right, so I'm going to give last names just for like privacy sakes. But Dora, my friend, she said, thank you guys. Awesome podcast. I've never been a big podcast person, but these guys keep me engaged and laughing. Never a dull moment. They don't keep to any sort of script, and the relaxed and casual feel of their episodes make them so enjoyable to listen to. Thank you, Dora. I really do appreciate that. And thank you to everyone. I'm going to try to read like a review maybe every week, maybe. I don't know. We have a few reviews that I can do that now. Whoa.
I think that would be a good idea.
Cool beans. All right. Next time's Cap. Daniel, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good. I think we covered Thor pretty well, my guy.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take us out.
Take us home. Outroduction.
We just talked about whatever we wanted to talk about, and now we're done. Blank.
Awesome. Remember, guys, the giveaway for the mug is still going on. If you saw the Instagram video, we have shirts. These are just kind of the prototypes, but if you want shirts, I don't know, let me know, and we'll get some more shirts. Yeah, we'll announce giveaways soon. We'll be having more giveaways. Yeah, goodbye.
Peace.
I did not like how I said goodbye. I'm going to do it again. Goodbye.